How's it going, guys? Matt Bisaccio once again for WMCT-TV and WMCT Sports, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Marlborough Shamrock Football Podcast. Our last episode featured quarterback Blake Rice and wide receiver Mitch Szilagyi. This episode, we are super fortunate to be joined by the kickers of the Marlborough Shamrocks, legendary kicker Pat Caruso, and the kicker and punter for the Shamrocks, Max Pedinoff. Guys, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Nice. You guys are coming off a very impressive 43-20 win over Granite State. They were previously undefeated. Now you guys have surpassed them in the Northern Division standings. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But first and foremost, we want to introduce you to the community so that they have a better idea of who you are. So Max, we'll start with you. Talk to me about your beginnings or the beginning part of you with athletics and how it came to be with you being a football player and how you became a kicker.
Yeah, absolutely. So age 6, I was playing soccer. No one else wanted to play goalie. So I started that from age 6 to 16 through high school. I was a keeper. Always had a really big leg. I could kick the soccer ball from the 6, a free kick, all the way to the other box. And there was at some point in my high school career, my high school coach said he wanted me to run 2 miles in 12 minutes, and he wouldn't let me play otherwise. So at that point, in nice words, I said, if this is the way it's going to be, I might as well try something else. The football coach came to me immediately after he heard that I had left soccer, and he had me work with a former athlete at the high school who was the kicker. First day out, 35-yard field goal, light bulb went off in my head, and it was, whether it was 15 minutes or 2 hours on the field, I was working, because I finally found that purpose for myself to get to a college. I was lost at that point. I was a sophomore in high school. I didn't know what I was going to do. But then that found my purpose. So I was working every single day. My first year, my junior year, I made honorary mention kicker for our division. The next year, I was first team all-league and third team all-state in Pennsylvania behind the kid Joey who kicked at Penn State, the bigger guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then actually another kid who actually ended up coming up to UNH. His name was Hunter. I got third team that year and got up to UNH as a preferred walk-on, earned my keep, ended up on a scholarship, and was starting for three years. So a little thing that wrinkled into everything is when I was like 4, I was at a carnival. I'm from Philadelphia originally. We went to a carnival. David Akers actually signed a football for me.
Oh, nice.
And when I was going through some of my stuff, when I was like going through that phase, I was like, oh my, how weird is that? I'm going to become a kicker now, and I have this memorabilia that such a long time ago, and it's all coming full circle now.
Now, was he somebody that you kind of like looked up to and wanted to kind of, try to be like David Akers, I mean?
Yeah, he was very, very consistent, and he was in the league a very long time. Not quite as long as Adam Vinatieri. I think, Vinatieri was 46 when he retired.
Something like that, yeah.
Akers might have been 43, but he was always Mr. Reliable. Watching him, it's like almost a guarantee it's going through. So having that type of left impression on someone, that's absolutely what I would strive for. But I wanted to get into also how I found the Shamrocks. I don't know if that story's been shared. I was missing the game a little bit. I think it was 2 years removed from college. And I posted a video because it was like Maine versus UNH week, so that always gets everyone going. Mm-hmm. Lamar's uncle, Teddy, if you're familiar with him, he reached out to me on a DM on Instagram saying, hey, come try out for this team. And I came up to the practice. Pat was there. All the guys were watching me, and they said, hey, punt a ball. And there was actually a returner back there who told me, I was like, you might want to back up. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm using nice words again. And I bombed it right over his head. And Adam pretty much said, when can you start? And Taunton was the first game I ever played. And I got very acquainted with what semi-pro football is. So that's kind of it. Now,
punting, was that something that you had done in high school or college as well? Or is that something that you just started doing when you joined the Shamrocks?
Yeah, so punting, so one of the things when I was trained is being the most versatile athlete you can be. So for my position, it's doing all three. It's kickoffs, punting, and field goals. So it's something I definitely worked on. My hands weren't as good coming out of high school, so I did get pulled in high school for having sloppy hands. But through college, I was on the jugs machines constantly, getting my hands better to where they are now. So I really worked on everything throughout my start as a sophomore all the way up to now. So
Very nice. Pat, why don't you talk to me a little bit about you coming up with football?
Okay, so when I started, I didn't play like Mighty Mites or anything like that. They used to have punt, pass, and kick competitions that were sponsored by the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So I started entering those locally. We used to have them at Ward Park where we practiced sometimes. And so that's where it really started. And it also actually really started with my father. He's from Pittsburgh, actually. He was a big Steelers fan, Penn State, Pitt fan, stuff like that. So his influence on me as far as football is huge. So I finally played organized football at junior high with Coach Richard King at Marlborough Junior High, where I played quarterback and kicked off and punted also. And back in that day, that was in the 70s, nobody was really kicking extra points and stuff in junior high and things like that. So I've been kicking ever since then. So then I went to high school, and I played quarterback at Assabet Valley and kicked off, punted, pretty much like Max is doing now. And in fact, my high school yearbook, I said one of my goals was to play for the Marlborough Shamrocks.
How about that?
Because my dad used to take me to the Shamrocks games in the late 60s, early 70s.
And what was the atmosphere like even back then? I mean,
it was unbelievable. Huge crowds. They used to put tarp around the whole field, so you couldn't see the field from the outside. So unless you went into the game, you couldn't see the game. So
how about that?
It was always a great crowd at Marlborough. I decided right out of high school, I said I'm going to go try out for the Shamrocks. And so I show up and there's a bunch of old grizzled veterans, and it's pretty intimidating at first. So, but I didn't kick right away because they had another kicker, and so we probably 3 or 4 games into the season, he couldn't make a game, so I got to kick, and it was against our arch rival at the time, the Hyde Park Cowboys, who we hadn't beaten in a long time. So I ended up kicking a field goal at the end of the game to win the game. So that
in your very first game.
Yeah, my very first game. Yeah.
Wow.
So that made me feel better with the veterans and things like that.
Well, I'm sure they were much more accepting of you after
Yeah,
you
they
hit a
were.
game-winning field
They
goal
were.
for sure.
Yeah.
just for
absolutely.
reference, I've never had the opportunity to do that as of yet.
Not a game-winning field.
I've had game-winning points, but never a game-winning field goal as time expired.
But what about just an overall, the one kick that sticks out to you the most? Your favorite kick?
My favorite kick?
There's got to be one that sticks
For
out.
the Shamrocks? Or
And it doesn't matter. Anything that sticks out to you.
I mean, my favorite one with the Shamrocks by far is making the 47-yarder last year. I didn't hit the ball perfectly, but I still had a lot of leg on it, and
Sure did.
I think that game against Southern Maine, I hadn't made a field goal. Well, I made the 37-yarder previous, and then I missed the one before that. But I didn't have any points as a Shamrock as of yet, through my first year, and that second year midway through. So having a 37, then a 47, being able to show what I can do, and getting that live rep to show Harry that I can actually do it in a live situation, not just on practice. That was huge for me.
And I mean, I really saw your personality come out. I mean, obviously when you're excited when you do very well, but you were just so happy to have been able to do that for the team, and you really showed your personality on that. Like the whole team is just filled with a bunch of characters. You got Mike Hurst on the offensive line,
No
you got
doubt.
Deshaun Perkins on defense, but even on special teams, you have somebody like you that has like a real personality, so people that come to the game can kind of get to know you a little bit. It's really nice. But getting back to you, Pat, you had that game-winning kick in your first game as a Shamrock, but you also had, your first game as an Aztec where you had, a 38-yard winning field goal?
No, that was my sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
I had a game-winning 38-yard field goal.
What was that moment like?
Oh, that was fantastic. I think we might have been 0-3 at the time. So when we won that game, it was fantastic. I got the ride on the shoulders and all that. So that was a lot of fun. So that was probably winning the league championship is probably the most exciting thing for me as far as even kicking, because that means more to me than anything, just the victories. But that kick in high school and then the kick for the Shamrocks, that was something I'll never forget. And people remind me all the time. I see a lot of old timers now, and they say, and they're a lot older than me because I was 18 and they were 30, 40 and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and they, oh, you remember that? Yeah, I remember it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of memorable moments, you were a part of the team that went to Ireland
Yes.
and played the very first American football game
Yes.
that was ever played in that country. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
That was unbelievable. It really was. They thought we were the Dallas Cowboys when we got off the bus and everything. Like, they couldn't believe how big we were, and we were treated like kings over there. It was just phenomenal. It was just a phenomenal time. The team that we played wasn't the greatest. It was some Marines that were over in that area and some Irish guys and stuff like that. So it wasn't the most competitive of games, but just the kids around the field, and we were in the national newspapers, and we got to visit Margaret Heckler at the time, who was the ambassador to Ireland, and so it was phenomenal. We were in Dublin mostly. Some people traveled around a bit, but I stayed in Dublin the whole time, and it was like being a celebrity. It was unbelievable. It was really was. Looking to get back. I talked to Chris James. I said, we got to get back there somehow.
Well, hopefully if you guys get back there, I can come along.
Yeah, definitely.
Please.
Most definitely. Yeah. We did have WSRO, which is our radio station at the time.
Absolutely.
They went along and they broadcasted. It was on Thanksgiving Day, actually. Thanksgiving morning that we played.
Our assistant executive director, Mike Lawton, he's in his early 40s, but he's old enough to have remembered when that game was played and listening to it on the radio, and just recalling how big of a deal it was for everyone back here too. So,
and one of the cool things about that trip also was our quarterback was Mike Powers, and the year after we were there, his brother, Mike Powers, Tommy was the quarterback on our team. Mike Powers played at BC, and he was the second quarterback. So the first two quarterbacks who played in Ireland were brothers.
How about that?
Yeah,
wow,
it was crazy.
Now, Pat, you've been associated with the Shamrocks on and off for 42 years. You'd said previously, but you've played like 12 seasons, correct? Something like that?
Yeah, 12 total seasons.
12 total seasons. Mm-hmm. But you grew up in Marlborough. You went to high school here in Marlborough. What does it mean to you to still, to this day, be playing for your hometown team?
Oh, it's amazing. And I got to thank Max because he allows me to kick PATs because he certainly can do all that stuff. But we got a great relationship, and it means a lot to me. To bring him back. When I was there, we won league championships 5 out of the 9 years when I played, but we never went to the Nationals and won. We'd get the first round, we'd always lose and stuff like that. So after I left, and then they just went on a tear where they were winning Nationals left and right, with unbelievable teams with kids from UNH and Northeastern and even some BC kids. So I was very proud of the team when they went on that run, when they won like 6 national championships, and they won the league 11 years in a row. It was just crazy.
Max, what's it been like for you to have somebody like Pat, somebody who's kicked as long as he has, somebody that I'm sure has imparted some wisdom on you from time to time, but what's it been like for you to have him be a part of your career?
Oh, it's been amazing, being from Philly, I went to UNH, and then I live on the North Shore right now. Being out here in Marlborough for the first time, I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing, didn't know anybody. And, right off the bat, Pat welcomed me with open arms once I did receive a spot on the team. And, one of the biggest things that I was taught in college is to build on the shoulders of others or build upon the foundations. And while the foundation is still strong, like I tell Coach Adam Ingalls, hey, as long as Pat wants to do it and he's making his kicks, all the will to him, because tradition and everything is very important, especially to a team like the Shamrocks. Excellence, that's the least I can do, and he's really shown a bunch of guys the right way to be a Shamrock and how important it is to the community to do the right thing.
Yeah. Now, depth is something that the Shamrocks have in Ace League. Guys are about 3 or 4 deep at every single position, and the kicker position is no different. You have a third stringer, Lucas Ando,
yes,
just graduated a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about him a little bit, his development, and how you two are trying to bring him along. And Pat, we'll start with you.
Honestly, I leave that to Max. I let him coach him up.
Yeah?
Right. A little bit closer in age. And,
sure.
But Lucas has been a great addition, too. He works really hard. And we have a really good relationship, all three of us. And we support each other like you wouldn't believe, and it's a great relationship.
Very nice. Max?
Yeah, just to add to that, I agree 100% with Pat. I think he had a little bit of a bang up when I was gone in Europe for the Mill City Eagles game when we played up there. He's just recovering now, but especially last year, he'd be asking me how do I get more ball play. He wants to learn these things. I show him these things, but when it's always the big thing about kicking is muscle memory, doing your drills, really building that into your body. So I can tell when he does his work and when he doesn't do his work. But, he really wants to succeed, and I know he's looking at going to college and maybe walking onto a football team. I want to say maybe Endicott was in his wheelhouse. I know he's looking at a few other places as well. But all around great kid. When I do a field goal and then have to go out for a kickoff, he brings me my tee and has the football ready. And just because we're the starters, when he does get some playing time, I do the same thing for him. It's a mutual respect, and it's something to help so you don't have to go running all over the place because you want to be calm on the kickoff. That's for sure.
Do you have like a routine or something that you do just prior to go out there and kicking that helps you to stay focused and calm? Because it just feels like that all the eyes are on you. There's a lot of pressure in those situations. Sometimes it's a high leverage kick. How do you keep yourself calm and focused?
Yeah, for me, it's not really thinking about it too much. It's just doing. As soon as I get out of the field and locate 7 yards away from the snap, at that point I look at Mitch, our holder, and as soon as that happens, he says he's good. It's tunnel vision. I don't pay attention to anyone or anything on the field besides maybe some of the rowdy fans in there. I can hear that maybe a little bit.
Cowbell banging on you.
Exactly. But for the most part, I'm just making sure I'm taking my steps at the right angle, the same length every step, and then giving my nod and ready to go.
Pat, what about with you? You have this wealth of experience. What advice would you give to young, struggling kickers that, they might have the talent, but just mentally they just aren't there yet?
Just put in the reps. Like Max was saying about muscle memory, the more reps you have, your muscles remember what you're doing. And, basically just doing it. And, paying attention to any coaching that you have or, any constructive criticisms, because sometimes it's hard, but just keep staying with it. That's all you got to do is keep staying with it and just keep practicing.
Now you know better than anybody about sticking with it. You've been playing all these years, but Saturday nights during the summer away from the family, do you get any type of resistance or encouragement to walk away? Is it something that family members are like, yeah, Pat, maybe you should,
The only one who did that was my mother when she was alive, because I started playing again after 17 years. I was like 45 when I started kicking again, and she just like shake her head. It's like, what are you doing, But my girlfriend Deb Harper, she's been totally supportive. 13 summers of no vacations. Because I made that commitment, I'm doing it, So I give her a lot of credit, and she even helps me hold for me sometimes too, when
Does she really?
Yeah,
she's awesome.
Yeah. So, it's been a sacrifice, but it's a drug to me, and it's hard to walk away. But I will do it eventually, probably this year. So, but it's I just love it,
That's great that she's so supportive of you.
Yes,
Matt.
Definitely, unbelievable.
Good for you. Now, Max, for you, you've played in many different stops throughout the Northeast. You said you grew up in Pennsylvania. You've kicked collegiately in New Hampshire. Now you find yourself in Marlborough. Can you talk to me about the atmosphere playing here, semi-professional, as opposed to some of the other stops that you've had along the way?
Yeah, football in Pennsylvania, it is bigger than, I would say, a Massachusetts, New Hampshire crowd. Some of the crowds that we get here, as far as the number of people and the rowdiness of them, compare to that. But as far as college level, when I was at UNH, we were going into the playoffs 14 years straight. So there'd be some games like right around Thanksgiving where it'd be almost empty. Like when we do that first round playoff game, we made a trip to the semifinals. I've never seen that stadium more packed. Some of the stops we played at, San Diego State, which they played at old Qualcomm Stadium, which was a huge, crazy experience for me. That's the first year I was starting at UNH. What are some other ones? My last year was Georgia Southern. We played at we had to actually relocate to Birmingham, Alabama because of a hurricane. That's a 70,000 seat stadium. I think they packed half of it.
Wow, it's still impressive.
And we did beat them as our D1AA upset. Fear the FCS.
Let's go.
So I would say for this level, by far, Marlborough, the atmosphere is the best. Maybe Taunton has that feel when we played them, but obviously they're not there anymore. But it really doesn't come close as far as the atmosphere when we have home games. This is by far the best. I remember going to North Shore.
Generals?
North Shore Generals. That's the game that was closest to me. There's 5 people in the stands. I could count it on my hand. But then when we're home, it's like we have all the support and kids playing around the playgrounds. You couldn't even figure out what a number. What would it be? So it's been great. That's for sure.
Now your next home game is your next game on the schedule. That will be on the 20th, I believe, against the Hartford Rebels, which you can watch live here on WMCT-TV. But as far as just like the season in general and looking ahead, since the first game of the season, you guys have rattled off 6 straight wins. All have pretty much been impressive double-digit victories. But in watching some of these games, it seems like the only team that you guys have to worry about is the Marlborough Shamrocks. It seems like at times, and maybe it's unfair to say, but sometimes it seems like there's a little bit of undisciplined play, a lot of personal fouls, unsportsmanlike conducts, and things like that. In your opinion, is that something that you're going to have to clean up if you guys want to win a 3rd straight league and national championship?
Start.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's semi-pro, unfortunately. There's a lot of that, so it's hard. But yeah, we got to clean that up. Absolutely, you're right. A lot of these games, we let teams back in, and it's just because of the undisciplined play and stuff like that. But I feel like I've noticed that we're getting a little bit better. We definitely become more of a team because we have replaced a lot of starters and things like that from last year, especially on defense. So I definitely I can feel it that the team is growing closer together. And we'll hold each other more accountable.
Yeah. Max, do you feel like things have improved in that respect over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're really getting our swagger as of right now. And I think some people are letting that swagger come out as arrogance, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I think it's part of the playing the game. You get excited, maybe say some things you shouldn't say, which we've all had that. I'd rather us get it out now than in the playoffs. So I think we're getting it out now. We're going to talk about getting better, less laundry on the field. And once it comes to the playoff times, we're going to be the disciplined team that we know we can be. And that's a very scary thought to see, especially, do you have an official how many penalty yards we had last game?
No, unfortunately.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I think there was three penalties on one play that took them all the way down.
The last home game, yeah, there was one play. There was like 3 different personal foul penalties. I think that pushed you guys back like 45 yards in one play. But specifically, no, I don't have anything to fall back on.
That's just, we just hold each other accountable, say what we can do better. No one's pointing any fingers at the end of the day because everyone's up to the task. Even if our defense is on our goal line, they're still going to put their best foot forward. So I think we'll clean this stuff up, and when come playoff time, I think it's going to be a nice sight to see. It's going to be scary for other teams, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, you guys are 6-1, but you're hitting your double bye right now. Brockton, I don't believe, is a part of the league anymore, so you'll have the next 2 weeks to yourselves before you get back on the field against Hartford. So, Pat, a couple of Saturday nights. What are the plans?
I got to take Deb somewhere. I got to do it.
We're real nice.
Yeah, I got to do it for her, and I look forward to that. I got to do that. That's got to be number 1 priority. I'll get some kicking in though. And Max does too. We only practice 1 night a week, but Max and I, we kick all the time, stuff like that. So I will get that in.
Will you guys practice both weeks of the bye week, or both weeks during the bye?
Are you talking about the team? Or? Yeah. So we're practicing tonight, and then we have off Thursday and have actually a little gathering planned on Saturday.
Okay.
We might be getting a fourth ring or something, our second ring from last year.
Okay.
Fourth for me. I'm 4 for 4, extremely blessed in the years that I've been.
Let them know.
Little bit. Extremely fortunate there, looking to make it 6. So we're getting together on Saturday, having a ceremony, getting those rings, and just having a really good time. So next Thursday off. This Thursday we'll be right after here we'll be practicing.
Yes.
But aside from football, any plans over the next couple of weeks? I know that just a couple of weeks ago you were in Europe. Can you actually tell me a little bit about that trip?
Yeah. So last year my brother married a woman from the country of Georgia.
Okay.
That's east of Turkey. Fantastic country, the most bread, wine, and cheese I've ever had in my life. But you got to see the old city of Tbilisi, which is their capital. That was, I think, around the 600s it came to be. So you saw all the history in there, with the Ottoman Empire trying to take control, the Russians trying to take control. Then you'd go to her. So we went to her village, and when you say village, it's not like a village we think just a small town. It's actually like, these small houses.
Really?
It's like there's cows in the middle of the road. You have to dodge and weave.
Okay.
And then you have the Black Sea city. It was called Batumi. And that's like, my brother said it's the best way to describe it is Miami, but with a California temperament.
Okay.
But the beach was all rocks. But just absolutely stunning.
So you got to swim in the Black Sea, though?
I did.
What was that like?
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's a lot warmer water than it is here. So
And is that gosh, I'm going to feel like an idiot if this isn't the case, but is that the body of water where you can float?
I didn't attempt, I guess, to float on my back, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
I'm more of a just like go head first, dive in, cool off, get out. I don't think so, but I'm not sure on that.
All right, okay.
I can't confirm nor deny. But yeah, we celebrated with her family over there in Georgia. I learned a little bit of the language of Georgian, and a lot of them speak English. So just being able to communicate and learn about their culture.
All right, show me what you got. What can you say?
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
I did. Yeah, you said you could do it. If you can't, it's okay. We'll move on.
Hello is Gamarjoba.
There you go.
That's it. That's all I needed. Just one.
And then for all the drinkers out there, cheers is Gamarjost.
Okay. Very nice.
That's important.
Yeah, there was a lot of cheersing going on during the wedding. I can tell you that for a fact.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was a really great time. We were there for 10 days and really excited to go back whenever the family wants us to come back.
Nice. And when you go that far, you need 10 days, because you need the couple of days just dedicated to the travel so you can actually be there for the
8-hour time difference.
Is it? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Coming. So my strategy to that is don't fall asleep on the plane and then fall asleep at what their 9 o'clock is.
Okay.
And then that helps a little bit, but still 8-hour difference. So it's tough.
Did you experience the jet lag on the way back?
Worse, yes.
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
Also the jet stream, because it goes east. It was I think 9.5 hour trip to Turkey, and then a 2.5 to Georgia, and then it was 3 and 11. So
wow.
It was pretty brutal on the way back.
Oh.
But yeah.
Well, cool. Well, good for you on that trip. Anything specifically going on the next couple of weeks with the bye, or just gonna hang out and chill out?
Well, I know. So tonight I need to get some film work in with some of my kicking. My kickoffs aren't up to my standard at this point. I know, some people say, "Oh, your kickoffs are going to the 15. That's great for this league." But we as Shamrocks have different standards than the rest of the league. So I'm going to be actually working on some stuff tonight. I have some contacts in the NFL that'll be looking at my film, so it'll be really nice. But as far as Saturday goes, I typically work on Saturdays as well before games, so I'll be able to have a full schedule Saturday. Sunday I'm getting together with some friends. Then that next Saturday we're doing the team cookout. So
cool.
If we're able, my girlfriend and I are able to get a date in there, I'll absolutely make that happen as well. So
nice, very nice. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. We look forward to the next game on the 20th. Good luck as you guys are trying to go 7-1 against the Hartford Rebels, and then the week after that is going to be the rematch against Granite State, which again on the 27th you'll be able to watch live here on WMCT-TV at 7 p.m. So once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Matt.
Max, good luck.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode. We'll see you next time.